makes every single day called uric acid. And most of the time, it's totally fine, just a harmless waste product that gets quietly filtered out. But when that delicate balance gets thrown off, this one little molecule can trigger some of the most excruciating pain imaginable. So what is it? Where does it even come from? And how does it get so wildly out of control? Well, let's break it all down.
It usually starts in just one joint, maybe your big toe, and suddenly it swells up, turns this angry, fiery red, and just screams with a pain so intense that, get this, even the weight of a single bed sheet feels like a concrete block crushing it. That right there is a gout attack. It's the most dramatic sign you can get that your body's uric acid system has gone completely haywire. And to really understand that agony, we've got to understand the tiny molecule that's causing all the chaos.
All right, so let's dive into the condition that really puts uric acid on the map for most of us, gout. It's this ancient, agonizing type of arthritis, and believe it or not, it all comes down to these microscopic little crystals, causing a massive world of pain.
Now, gout isn't just some random ache or pain. It is a very physical process. See, when uric acid levels in your blood climb too high, the whole system gets what we call supersaturated. Just think about adding way too much salt to a glass of water. Eventually, it just stops dissolving and starts piling up at the bottom, right? Well, the exact same thing happens here. The uric acid literally drops out of your blood and forms these tiny, microscopic, needle-like crystals right inside your joints. And you can bet your immune system spots these sharp little invaders immediately and launches an all-out inflammatory assault. That's what causes that signature, absolutely off-the-charts pain.
And look, this isn't some obscure, rare disease. We are talking about nearly 34 million people living with gout all across the globe. That number comes from a massive global study. So yeah, it's a huge health issue. And what's wild is that in a lot of places, it's actually becoming more common, probably because of our modern diets and lifestyles.
Okay, so we've seen the damage it can do. Now, let's officially meet the molecule at the very center of this whole story.
So here it is, uric acid. And hey, don't worry about that complex chemical structure you're seeing. The most important thing to get is this. Uric acid isn't something you eat or drink directly. No, it's the final waste product your body creates when it breaks down other compounds called purines. And here's the crazy irony. Those purines? They're absolutely essential building blocks for life itself.
And we've known about this stuff for a long time. I mean, we're talking over 240 years ago. A Swedish chemist named Carl Wilhelm Scheele was the first to isolate it. But you know where he found it? Not in a joint, but in kidney stones, which, yep, is another place where these nasty little crystals can cause some very serious problems.
So where do these purines even come from? Well, they're just fundamental to our biology. They're key parts of our DNA and RNA, our genetic code. And see that little phosphate energy pack on the right? That's what helps power countless reactions inside every single one of our cells. So yeah, to put it simply, they are absolutely essential for life. No two ways about it.
So if these purines are so important, how does the body manage them? Well, when everything's working the way it should, it's kind of like a super busy but incredibly efficient recycling plant. It's this really elegant system for creating purines, using them, recycling them, and then finally, getting rid of any excess.
This diagram here, it's like a high-level map of the body's entire purine economy. You can see purines coming in from our diet, but we also make a bunch inside our own cells. Then they're put to work building our tissues and our DNA. As old cells die in turnover, those purines get released. Now, the body is smart. It recycles most of them. But any leftovers, any excess, that gets sent to the disposal unit. And that final disposal step, that's what creates uric acid, which is then supposed to be kicked out of the body.
You can see this whole system is a really delicate balancing act, right? It's controlled by these 5 key knobs. First, how many purines is your body making from scratch? Second, how many are you getting from your food? Third, how fast are your cells turning over? And then on the other side of the equation, how fast are you actually making the final uric acid? And maybe most importantly, how well are you getting rid of it? A problem with any one of these can throw the entire system completely out of whack. Now, there's one particular enzyme that acts as the critical gatekeeper in this whole process. It's called xanthine oxidase. Think of it as the final worker on the assembly line, the one that does the last 2 steps to produce the final uric acid. And because it plays such a central role, it's become a major target for medications that are designed to slow this whole production line down. Okay, so once the uric acid is made, how do we actually get rid of it?
Well, there are basically two main exit routes. Your kidneys are the absolute workhorses here. They filter out about 3/4 of it into your urine. The other quarter is handled by helpful bacteria down in your gut. So you can see right away just how vital healthy kidneys are for keeping your uric acid levels under control.
So, what happens when this carefully balanced system, the production line in and the disposal routes out, breaks down? Well, you get an overflow. The system gets backed up. And that overflow state has a clinical name: hyperuricemia. Yep, that overflow state is called hyperuricemia, and it means exactly what it sounds like, just too much uric acid in the blood. Doctors have pretty clear thresholds for this, which are a little different for men and women. Crossing these lines is kind of like a warning light coming on in your car. It doesn't guarantee you're about to have a full-blown gout attack right then and there, but it absolutely means the conditions are perfect for those painful crystals to start forming. And hyperuricaemia almost always boils down to one of two core problems. The first one is increased production. Basically, the factory is just making way too much. This can be kicked into overdrive by things like a high purine diet, really fast cell turnover from certain diseases like leukemia, or even alcohol. The other problem is decreased excretion. Here, the factory's production is normal, but the disposal system is clogged up. This is often because of kidney problems, but certain medications can cause it too. If you want a really dramatic and frankly tragic example of what overproduction looks like, look no further than Lesch-Nyhan syndrome. It's a rare genetic disorder where a critical recycling enzyme is basically broken. Without it, the body can't salvage and reuse its purines. So what happens? Pretty much all of them get shunted down the disposal pathway to become uric acid. The result is a massive, totally uncontrolled overproduction that leads to awful gout, serious kidney problems, and some really devastating neurological issues. It's a powerful example of what happens when that recycling step fails. Okay, so now that we understand the causes, how do we actually fix the problem? Let's take a look at how this is diagnosed and, more importantly, managed to bring the body back into balance. The whole approach to treatment really has three main goals. Goal number one, you've got to put out the immediate fire of a painful gout attack. That's the priority. Goal number two, you have to lower those uric acid levels for the long haul to prevent more crystals from ever forming in the first place. And goal number three, the ultimate aim, is to prevent the really devastating long-term complications, things like permanent joint damage and even kidney failure. And modern medicine has some really clever ways to tackle this, hitting it from three different angles that target the exact parts of the system we've been talking about. So for that overproduction problem, there are drugs like allopurinol. What do? They inhibit that key enzyme xanthine oxidase, basically telling the factory to slow down. For the underexcretion problem, you've got drugs like probenecid, which help the kidneys flush more uric acid out, like a drain cleaner. And finally, to fight the inflammation of the attack itself, there are drugs like colchicine, which tell the immune system to just calm down. When you step back and look at it, the story of uric acid is really all about balance, isn't it? It's this constant, delicate negotiation happening inside our bodies between our genetics, our diet, and our lifestyle. It's a tug of war between production and disposal. And it really makes you think, how does this one substance go from being a simple, harmless waste product to the source of such unbelievable pain? It's a powerful reminder that inside our bodies, even the tiniest molecules play a huge role,